Good morning, Facebook and TikTok world. We are unfortunately here for a more serious note today. It's going to be an emotional roller coaster ride for me today. For those who watch me regularly, know that I rarely cry or try to show emotion on social media. And when I do, it's very real and very genuine. So, here is where we are at. We have officially hit fight or flight mode. We are in our last few weeks of being able to continue to operate. And the rehoming and euthanization process will have to start. The only way that we would be able to continue to fight for these animals is if we have 10,000 people come together, donate $10, and help us raise the $100,000 it's going to take for us to continue to be these animals' voices. I've been doing this for 24 years. And to say that I have been put through a living hell for these last 4 years is an understatement. To continue to fight and be these animals' voices. From a little girl, I had the opportunity to work with alligators, birds of prey, wolves for 21 years, cougars since I was 12. Very fortunate to have been able to create a deep love, appreciation, and bond and relationship with several different animals over my lifetime. In June of 2020, my dad, who started the organization, was terminated from the organization with cause. I don't go into detail because I am not here to slander my dad, but know that me losing a relationship with my dad and fighting for the rights for these animals and having the same employees here now that were here when he was here, note that there was some serious cause to why it had to happen. And know that the animal's livelihood and well-being depended on it. So I fought my dad for 2 years in a legal battle. 2 years. The same time he divorced my mom, and our family and worlds just kind of quickly started to crumble. I took over the organization per the board of directors. They asked me to continue operating and giving these animals the proper husbandry and to continue to fight for them and be their lives, or be their voices. And I accepted, and I have been doing that for a very long time. In February of 2022, magically, after settlement was done and lawsuit was over, I got a letter from Skagit County telling me that now 21 years later, I need a special use permit to continue my main source of income for these animals. These animals in which cost over $50,000 a month to take care of. We have laid off staff, we have eliminated porta potties, we have slowed down on our propane usage, we have done everything in every clever way that we know how. I have begged for food, I have begged for produce, I have created great relationships and great contracts with some pretty phenomenal, amazing people. We've had people who have been following us and have donated so much more than we feel worthy of. And we're grateful to everyone who has this far. But I'm at the point, unfortunately, where these may be my last few weeks of being able to continue to be their voice and to continue to rescue. Now, after the county shut us down and eliminated our main source of income, we would have had enough money to last a year because I'm a saver and these animals are important and I take catastrophe into consideration. But unfortunately, our neighbor joined with some other neighbors and started a lawsuit against our organization saying that the howl, 21 years later, is a nuisance. And that their howling brings down their property values. And they want to sue me and my mom personally along with the business for damages. Hi, buddy. You got really excited all of a sudden. What's going on? So, we've been fighting that since July. And we're running out of money, and we're running out of time. And I don't know how else but to come on here and be completely vulnerable and ask for your help. And ask for you to spread our story and to share our campaigns and to donate towards our cause and to help us continue to be their fight, to be their voices and fight for these guys. Now, the biggest thing that you have to understand, we don't technically have to leave the property. We've been working on Operation Relocation just to get away from the conflict. But we would have had to raise $2 million and it's just not coming in. We're so grateful for the $80,000 that we've raised over the last year. And that's why we're still here, is because of you and because of your funding. These animals are still getting full stomachs. They're still getting proper husbandry because of you thus far. But we're at it. We're at fight or flight. I need to raise $100,000 the next 2 weeks. Or else our contacts will be starting to be contacted for rehoming of what we can. Now, please know, I don't need you to call sanctuaries for me. I know a lot of the sanctuaries. I've read through their USDA reports in considering any sanctuary. And we take all that into consideration, but I can tell you that probably over 60% of these animals will have to be put down. That's not fair. To have a county shut you down 21 years later, when you went and applied for those permits in 2014 and they said you don't need them and refunded you your permit costs of over $5,000 for just the initial starting of permitting. Hey bud, where you gonna lay? And then come back later and say, well, now we do, and then months later get a lawsuit to drain our reserves as fast as possible. It's not fair. These animals deserve the world, and I feel like we give it to them. I have the utmost respect for all animals, even birds that are not my favorite thing to work for or with. I give it my all, and I still love them, and I still appreciate them, and I still respect boundaries, and I am always willing to learn new species. And my ultimate goal, honestly, is just to be able to be their voice of why they're essential in the ecosystem, and be able to continue to educate you, and to continue to be able to work with several animals, and be able to continue to be an outlet for animals that have no other place to go. Come here, Juice. He wants Lexi, but Lexi is a lot to take in when you're trying to talk and have a serious conversation. I'll let her out in a second. Juice. Juicy. Juice. But we're just at that point. We're at that breaking point. They're not going to stop until we fight it and win it. And so for us to fight, we got to raise the money to do it. It's just an expensive process, and it's all necessary to be able to continue to be their voice. I have reached out to Como 4, Cairo 7, King 5 for screwing up our story and asking them to rewrite it. I have reached out to wealthy people, you know, who love animals. We've created an Etsy store. We have armied together. We have begged, we have pleaded, we have exhausted resources to extremes that you wouldn't even begin to understand. But I can't let this be my last few weeks with these animals. I just can't. And I don't know how else to do it. I donate my paychecks back to the organization. I'm doing everything that I can. And I'm lucky enough to be able to do that because my husband works. But it's like when it rains, it pours. And I don't think that just because somebody has money that they should have the ability to completely eliminate a nonprofit that houses over 100 different exotic animals. That's not fair. It's not right. It's so wrong. So, I'm asking you, please click on the link in our bio. Go to our brand new fundraisers that we just started so you can see the goals. We have a PayPal one and we have a GoFundMe because we wanted to be able to provide to you whatever you're most comfortable donating towards. Please know that the PayPal, we have instant access to funds. You can also see on our PayPal that it's a verified charity and that's going into a government approved nonprofit charities account. Come here, buddy. Come here, buddy. I don't like when you're that excited. And you can see all of that. There's a little blue banner. You can also see on the GoFundMe that it's going into the charities account. Now with GoFundMe, they send out a check once a month. And so we would have to wait for the funds, but as long as we can see it's coming in, at least we can hold out hope that we're gonna have that coming in. But if we could prefer, that PayPal charity is the best way to go. So we're needing 10,000 people to donate $10 so that we can continue operating for the next few months and to continue to fight for them and buy propane and kind of get caught up on stuff that we've had to do. And I can tell you the last thing that I want to do is have to euthanize my friends. These animals hold a very dear place to all of us. And we've had to do bigger put downs before for like old and sick and all of that. And whether it be one at a time or 3 at a time, it never gets any easier. The emotional toll that this takes on you, I'm sure most of you know, because you've had companions in your home for 14, 18 years or less, and it doesn't matter if you have them for a year or if you have them for 10 years, like my boy Zeus here. It doesn't get easier. Please know that we would rehome to homes that have good USDA reports, but there's a lot of factors that people don't understand when they're calling other sanctuaries. We've looked into all their USDA reports. We've seen that they've had non-compliances, or if they are no non-compliance. We look into what they feed their wolves, and when people call me and say, well, we feed our wolf dogs donated pet food from Petco, our wolves aren't going there. They can't live off that. It's more harming to their health than euthanization. And that's the hard decisions that I get to make, of who gets a home and who doesn't. And I don't want to have to make that call, because I'm the one here putting them down with the vet. Here, I'm playing in their trough. So, help us be Zeus's voice. Help us be Lexi's voice. Help us be Max's voice. Kakoa, Darby, Arginine, Calvin, Luther, Willow, Nitro, Brian, Blue, Laszlo, Titan. We need your help. That's where we're at. And one hit after another just continually comes, and I stand back up, and yes, I know I'm strong, and yes, I know that I am a voice, and I get it, and I hear it, and I appreciate you guys, and I understand, but the reality of where we're at, and the sleepless nights, and the not being able to eat because you're just so stressed out. because you don't know how you're going to get through the next day and provide for them anymore. Oh, it just sucks. Just sucks. So, again, click on that link up above. Donate if you can. Short campaign description in there for you guys. And then if you want to read more of our story of what's going on with the lawsuit and the litigation, you can click on that link and it's going to pull up a whole article for you about what we're dealing with. I will fight as long as I can, but there also becomes a reality in how long you can fight, because when the money runs dry, it runs dry. We all know that. We've all been there. We've all had those experiences. But, you know, I don't know what else to do. No one will take our story. It's almost as if they've already been contacted. No responses, nothing. No thank you for your suggestion, no nothing. I know several of you have called the county, and again, crickets or frustration. I do want to move. I would love to move to a new location, even if it's not the one that I ideally wanted for the last year and a half. If it means saving the animals, I would gladly move if it was a financial possibility. But either I raise $100,000 and I stay fighting, or I raise $2 million and I move. That's my options. Those are my options. So I will be calling some of my sanctuaries that have already agreed to help me and see if they're still willing to help me, because long ago in January, this was an option, or that was a possibility of this happening in January. And we had people from King 5 band together and help us through these last few months. And TikTok and Facebook, Patreons, all of you have just been so amazing and generous and kind and supportive and loving. And we feel it and we appreciate it. But we're trying. I mean, I won't go down until I have nothing left to give. But I've been giving a lot of myself for a long time. And I'll continue to do it. But again, we need your help. So I know a lot of questions and comments and stuff have probably just been flowing through, and I'm sorry Holly hasn't answered them or asked them, but we needed to come on here and make a video so that we can have that on Facebook, so that people can go back later and read what's happening. This is normally where we do fun fundraiser Fridays for the last 2 weeks or so, which don't usually end up fundraiser Fridays because catastrophe always hits on Fridays. So we're gonna have to pick a different day.
We are.
Milo put a huge dent in my truck today.
I would say Money Monday, but we have half days on Monday.
That's true. Money Monday. Money. But no, I'm doing everything. I write back my paycheck to donate to the business too. So not the only one donating. I'm donating time and money and energy and blood and sweat and hours away from my children. And it's been fun to have them here this summer, and the thought of only having them out here for a few more months and having them to see animals slowly go away. Now know that if you do donate and we're unable to raise $100,000, that money will go towards the rehoming process of me flying to places to drop animals off, because there's no real good places in Washington. And I appreciate all of the suggestions, but I will only send our animals to the best of the best places. And know that if you read something about "it breaks my heart, we would offer our help," I had sanctuaries calling me angry at me because you guys were calling them. Stop having your people call sanctuaries. And I tell them I don't. You should just know in this world that's what happens. Well, I get 15 phone calls a day about your organization. And my animals will not go to a place where all of your calls are not taken open-armed and open heart. I get dumb phone calls too. I get phone calls about rescuing a bird that is a robin that literally stopped breathing 30 minutes ago and they just need a place for it to go to be safe. I get those calls, but I still take them and I still help people through it and I still try to be kind. So my animals need kind people and kind places. And the sad reality is of sanctuaries is not all of them are kind. So we'll do what we can, but I gotta raise 100,000. Yep, you're worth it. You're worth begging. You're worth pleading. I know you want Lexi, so I'm gonna let Lexi out. We will go over to the other wolves that are anxiously awaiting Lexi's out. I do know this is material that Lexi will want to rip right off of my body because Lexi is obsessed with textures. Hi, bud. I'll let her out. Hold on.